guys ready to be kind of sort of upset? Like, this is just one of the many problems that AI creates, and we're going to get into that here in a minute. Technically, a lot of these problems existed with Photoshop, but now it's easier for people to do this, and I feel like the fewer barriers you put between people and, you know, the evil they could do, the more often you're going to see people doing this this kind of evil. Like I said, we'll get into that, but first, I want to ask you guys real quick, if you haven't already, please consider donating to Fleur. They're a friend of the channel. Their house just got burned down. If you're watching on stream, hit !help. If you're watching off stream, then please check the description, and there should be a link in there as well. That said, let's go ahead and talk about this. So, we're going to begin, but first we're going to look at the title. Boys at her school shared AI-generated nude images of her. After a fight, she was the one expelled. Okay, I feel like that's enough of a reason for me to get pissed. Nude images of a 13-year-old girl and her friends, generated by AI, were circulated on social media and had become the talk of a Louisiana middle school. The fuck? Yeah, no, that is AI-generated child porn. That is a thing that you should not be able to do. That has a direct fucking victim. And that victim is a fucking child. No. The girls begged for help, first from a school guidance counselor and then from a sheriff's deputy assigned to their school, but the images were shared on Snapchat, an app that deletes messages seconds after they're viewed. The adults couldn't find them. The principal had doubts that they even existed. Among the kids, the pictures were still spreading. When the 13-year-old girl stepped onto the Lafourche Parish school bus at the end of the day, a classmate was showing one of them to a friend. She said, "That's when I got angry," she recalled at her discipline hearing. Yeah, somebody creates child porn of you, you get mad about it, and then you get in trouble for it. That's America, by the way. That's our nation. That's fantastic. That's sarcasm. Fed up, she attacked a boy on the bus, inviting others to join her. She was then kicked out of the 6th Ward Middle School for more than 10 weeks and sent to an alternative school. She said the boy, whom she and her friends suspected of creating the images, wasn't sent to that alternative school with her. The 13-year-old girl's attorneys allege he avoided school discipline altogether. Ah, yes. Attacking somebody for having the child porn, that's not a bad, like, that's the bad thing. But making the child porn and victimizing a child sexually, that wasn't the bad thing. That no harm was done there, I guess. Fuck off. When the sheriff's department looked into the case, they took the opposite actions. They charged 2 of the boys who'd been accused of sharing the explicit images, and not the girl. Ah, I see. When the police looked into it, they went, yeah, of course you'd beat the shit out of that guy. Fuck that guy. The Louisiana episode highlights the nightmarish potential of AI deepfakes. They can and do upend children's lives, at school and at home. And while schools are working to address AI in classroom instruction, they often have done little to prepare for what the new tech means for cyberbullying and harassment. Once again, as kids increasingly use new tech to hurt one another, adults are behind the curve, said Sergio Alexander, a researcher associate at Texas Christian University, focused on emerging technology. Page says generative AI images like that have been an issue for some time. It keeps us all worried. Yup. Cleric says, let me get this straight. You have safeguards against NSFW text, but the image generator, nothing? They said, when we ignore digital harm, the only moment that becomes visible is the time that the victim finally breaks. In the Lafourche Parish, the school district followed all its protocols for reporting misconduct. Superintendent Jared Martin said in a statement, he said a one-sided story has been presented of the case that fails to illustrate its totality and complex nature. Ah, yes, the complex nature of child porn. If anybody tries to tell you that child porn is complex, they're also the kind of person who would likely argue that there's a meaningful difference between pedophilia and hebephilia. Irrespective of whether or not they're correct, the fact that they're arguing it is a red flag. The girl's nightmare began with rumors. After hearing rumors about the nude images, the 13-year-old said she marched with two friends, one nearly in tears, to the guidance counselor around 7 a.m. on August 26th. The Associated Press is not naming her because she is a minor, and the Associated Press tries not to name victims of sex crimes. She was there for moral support, not initially realizing there were images of her too, according to testimony at the school disciplinary hearing. Ultimately, the weeks-long investigation at the school in Thibaux, about 45 minutes southwest of New Orleans, uncovered AI-generated nude images of 8 female middle school students and 2 adults, the district and sheriff's office said in a joint statement. Full nudes with her face put on them is how the girl's father, Joseph Daniels, described them. Daniels has spoken publicly with multiple news outlets to draw attention to how the case was handled. Until recently, it took some technical skill to make realistic deepfakes. Technology now makes it easy to pluck a photo off social media, nudify it, and create a viral nightmare for an unsuspecting classmate. Most schools are just kind of burying their heads in the sand, hoping that this isn't happening. Yeah, but it is happening. It is happening. It's happening in more places than we should be fucking okay with. LaForge Parish School District was just starting to develop policies on artificial intelligence. The school-level AI guidance mainly addressed academics, according to documents provided through a records request. The district hadn't updated its training on cyberbullying to reflect the threat of AI-generated sexually explicit images. The curriculum its schools used was from 2018, so well before ChatGPT, Gemini, and other softwares had become publicly viable. The fact that the school IT departments haven't banned AI sites on their networks is ridiculous, by the way. I mean, think of it this way, though. Think of it this way. Even if they did that, even in the world where they did that, it does not mean that kids would not generate that shit on their phone over their own IP. A school investigation hits obstacles. Although the girls at Sixth Ward Middle School hadn't seen the images firsthand, they heard about them from boys at school. Based on those conversations, the girls accused a classmate and 2 students from other schools of creating and spreading the nude Snapchats, the nudes on Snapchat and possibly TikTok. I don't know if they would have spread them on TikTok. TikTok doesn't allow nudity, and they kind of auto-bought that shit away, right? Ravi says, my fucking edtech department is pushing us to use generative AI. Maybe you should walk in and call them stupid. Like, every time they even start, just be like, man, why do you think this tech is going to be helpful? Why do you think this is going to work better than any other teaching method? Better yet, who the fuck is paying you? The principal, Daniel Coriel, said an investigation came up cold that day as no student took responsibility. The deputy assigned to the school searching social media for the images unsuccessfully, according to a recording of the disciplinary hearing. I was led to believe this was just hearsay and rumors, the girl's father said, recounting a conversation he had that morning. But the girl was miserable, and a police incident report showed more girls were reporting that they were victims too. The 13-year-old returned to the counselor in the afternoon, asking to call her father. She said she was refused. Her father says she sent a text message that said, Dad, and nothing else. They didn't talk. With the mocking unrelenting, the girl texted her sister and said it's not getting handled. As the school day wound down, the principal was skeptical. At the disciplinary hearing, the girl's attorney asked why the sheriff's deputy didn't check the phone of the boy the girl was accusing and why he was allowed on the same bus as the girl. Coriel said, the principal, said kids lie a lot. They lie about all kinds of things. They blow lots of things out of proportion on a daily basis. In 17 years, they do it all the time. So to my knowledge, at 2 o'clock when I checked again, there were no pictures. I mean, they're technically right about that. They are technically right about that. Kids do lie a lot. They are not fully developed. There's all kinds of shit that goes on in their brains that cannot be fully explained by any logical means. I get that. But at the same time, I feel like when it comes to stuff like sexual assault, you just kind of take it more seriously. I feel like you should just take it more seriously. Sarah Chicken said, fuck vibe coding. Is vibe coding when you want something and you ask AI to generate it and then you just insert it in and hope for the best? Is that what that is? Okay. That sounds like how I would code if I liked to do it at all, because I don't know how to code. It does the bulk of it, then you have to proofread it. Yeah, that sounds like how an unskilled coder would do things. As somebody who does not want to code and is an unskilled coder, that's the only way I could think of doing it. But I'm also not gonna fucking do it, because I don't want to code. That said, I feel like if you do that, you're not even coding at that point. CyberChill says the US in general is fucked. I wouldn't be surprised if we have another depression within my lifespan. Yeah, we're already there. Like, luxuries are more affordable than they've ever been, and that masks the fact that basic necessities aren't. Taproot says vibe coding is taking 2 minutes to ask a bot to code, then spending 3 hours error checking it only to realize it doesn't integrate into the code base to begin with, instead of spending 2 hours to write it yourself from scratch. That sounds like the exact definition that was given by Pirate Nation, or Pirate Software. Okay, then we fast forward to the fight happening on the bus. When the girl stepped into onto the bus 15 minutes later, the boy was showing the AI-generated images to a friend. Fake nude images of her friends were visible on the boy's phone, and the girl said, a claim backed up by a photo taken on the bus. A video from the school bus showed at least half a dozen students circulating the images, said Martin, the superintendent, at a school board meeting. I went the whole day with getting bullied and getting made fun of about my body, the girl said at the hearing. When she boarded the bus, she said that her anger was building up. After seeing the boy in his phone, she slapped him. The boy shrugged off the slap, according to the video. She hit him a second time. Then the principal said the girl asked aloud, "Why am I the only one doing this?" 2 classmates then hit the boy, the principal said, before the 13-year-old climbed over a seat and punched and stomped on him. I mean, you were sharing child porn, and nobody even consented to it in the first fucking place, because kids can't fucking consent. So, yeah, no, that I can't blame anybody for doing that. Now, whenever you think about making fucking nude images of a goddamn child, even though you're also a child, but now every time you think about doing that, you're going to think about getting your ass kicked on a bus in front of a fucking camera. Good! That's what you should be feeling. It should feel like a punch to the gut when you think about throwing fucking child porn around. Video of the fight was posted on Facebook. Overwhelming social media sentiment was one of outrage, demanding the students involved in the fight be held accountable. The district sheriff's office said in their joint statement released on November, the girl had no past disciplinary problems, but she was assigned to an alternative school for the district as the district moved to expel her for a full semester, 89 school days. Zolkir says it's a stomp on sight for these AI guys. Yep, that's FAFO. Like, I'm sorry, but there are certain things that I believe it is okay to engage in violence over. Sharing child pornography is one of those things. Weeks later, the boy is charged. It was on the day of the girl's disciplinary hearing, 3 weeks after the fight, that the first of the boys was charged. The student was charged with 10 counts of unlawful dissemination of images created by AI under a new Louisiana state law, part of a wave of such legislation around the country. A second boy was charged in December with identical charges. The sheriff's department said that neither was identified by the authorities because of their ages. Okay, fair enough. The girl would face no charges because of what the sheriff's office described as the totality of the circumstances. At the disciplinary hearing, the principal refused to answer questions from the girl's attorneys about what kind of school discipline the boys would face. The district said in a statement that federal student privacy laws prohibit it from discussing individual student disciplinary records. Gregory Miller, an attorney for the girl, said she has no knowledge of any school discipline for the classmate accused of sharing the images. Sawara says, I'm going to say that police sound like the good guys in this case. Surprisingly, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Ultimately, the panel expelled the 13-year-old girl. She felt like she was victimized multiple times by the pictures and by the school not believing her, and by them putting her on a bus and then expelling her for her actions. After she was sent to the alternative school, the girl started skipping meals. Her father said she was unable to concentrate. She completed none of the school's online work for several days before her father got her into therapy for depression and anxiety. Nobody initially noticed when she stopped doing her assignments. He said she kind of got left behind. Little Firecat says, twist, the boy was on a sports team and boys will be boys. Her attorney appealed to the school board and another hearing was scheduled for 7 weeks later. But by then, so much time has passed that she could have returned to her school on probation. But because she'd missed assignments before getting treated for depression, the district wanted her to remain at the alternative school for another 12 weeks. For students who are suspended or expelled, the impact can last years. They're more likely to be suspended again. They become disconnected from their classmates. And they're more likely to become disengaged from school. They're more likely to have lower grades and lower graduation rates. She's already been out of school enough, one of the attorneys said. She's a victim. She, he repeated, is a victim. Martin, the superintendent, countered, sometimes in life we can be both victims and perpetrators. I have a question. I have a serious question. What do you call a parent who beats the shit out of a rapist who tried to rape their child? Do you call that person a perpetrator or do you call that person a hero? Because I don't think I'd use the word perpetrator for them. I'm sure legally that may be a word that's thrown around in that situation, but I would use the word hero. I would use the term a good parent. Any parent worth their salt would beat the shit out of a would-be rapist, and that is all this is here. The board was swayed. There's a lot of things in the video that they didn't like, Harry LaFont said, but I'm trying to put it into perspective of what she went through that day. They allowed her to return to campus immediately, and her first day back was November 7th, but she'll remain on probation until January 29th. That means no dances, no sports, no extracurricular activities. She already missed out on basketball tryouts, meaning she won't be able to play this season, and her father finds the situation heartbreaking. Everybody kept saying it was trans girls who were going to be robbing other girls and women of opportunities in sports. The reality is, it's dumb bureaucracy trying to defend fucking AI. I was hoping she was going to make great friends, that they would go to high school together, and, you know, it'd keep everybody out of trouble and on the right tracks. But I think they ruined that. Yup. Are there comments on this? No, but it would just be a bunch of angry parents if we did. Yeah, we must defend the clankers. The clankers deserve rights. No, they fucking don't. Clankers don't deserve human rights because they aren't humans. Fuck them. Fuck them. And anybody that thinks this is the new normal that we should be expecting, fuck them too. Completely. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagittarius, you know I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Sereth, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.